All right, welcome to a new edition of Kill the Clock. I'm Zaid Hadid, and I'm in here with Ravneet Singh. How you doing today?
Good, man. It's good to finally have the NBA basketball starting again.
Yeah, definitely. This is my favorite part of the year. It's right when the NBA starts, so it's pretty exciting and a lot of headlines for this year.
Yeah, I've been watching too much football and can't wait to get some basketball going now.
Yep, football and basketball and baseball's over, almost over. So it's a good time to be a sports fan for
Yeah,
us.
for sure, no doubt.
All right, so we're going through the NBA win season total lines from Vegas. Going through this edition is for the Western Conference. We got so a lot of interesting lines here from Vegas. Robney, what do you got for us?
So let's just start with the Western Conference. At first, we have the Dallas Mavericks. They're projected at 36.5 wins. Even what do you think about that line? Do you think it's accurate?
36.5. Okay, so Wesley Matthews was projected to miss a lot of the season. He's coming back, right? He'll be there first couple weeks of the season. And Darren?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he played the last game of the preseason with and same with Darren Williams, so I would expect both of them to be ready, maybe on a minutes restriction, but both should be ready to go.
Yeah, they're definitely digressing. They won 50 games last year, which is not going to happen this year. They lost a lot of talent. They had a chance as at DeAndre Jordan, which would have been nice to have, but unfortunately didn't get him. They lost Rondo, which actually could be a plus. They still got Rick Carlisle. Their starting five does not look good. Darren Williams, Dirk, Wesley Matthews, Jeremy Evans, and Zaza. I definitely in the Western Conference. It's tough to say because they lost so many pieces and it's a 13 and a half game difference. But if I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to go. I want to say they're going to surprise some people. Rick Carlisle always does fantastic with every team he coaches. So I'm going to go. I think they'll get around 37 wins. It's very close, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Rick Carlisle's a top five coach, and they still have Dirk, and even though he's not he's a horrible defender at this point in his career, but maybe maybe Rick Carlisle could make something of JaVale McGee. Like maybe if there's any coach that could, maybe he could do it.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think they make the playoffs. I think they're going to be the ninth or 10th best team in the West. So I think we both are in agreement that they're kind of in that 9 to 11 range, and that's where Vegas has them. I would say they're slight over, maybe 38, 38 wins, just
Right.
because of Carlisle. It's mostly because of Carlisle. He's just a great coach.
Yeah, we're just betting the whole over is basically on Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's go on to the next team. We have the Denver Nuggets, and they're at 27.5. Are you taking the under or the over?
27.5. I actually probably they won 30 last year. Um, their changes. Let's see what they did. They still have Gallinari and Chandler. They still kept actually a decent amount of their players, but I want to say they'll go under just because they're still young. They just got drafted Moutier, who I think is going to be a great player, but I think it's going to take them a year or two to develop. They lost Ty Lawson, so that's going to cost them a couple wins there. And I think a big reason I'm going to say under is because I think they're a kind of team that's going to have a trade midseason, maybe trade for Reed or Chandler. I think one of those guys goes this year, so and they'll get a pick or a young player. So I'm going to go under on that one.
Yeah, I'm with you again. I mean, I'm a Moutier and Nurkic fan, and I think they have a nice core, but this team is too young. They lost their best player in Ty Lawson, even though he had some troubles off the court. Um, yeah, but I mean, you're right. I mean, I think you could expect Wilson Chandler or Gallinari, who was playing out of his mind near the end of last season, to get traded. And they signed him to pretty good contracts. So those contracts are going to be valuable to some team who wants to make the playoffs or is a contender. So I'm taking the under here. I just don't see them. They're a young team. They have a young starting five besides Gallinari,
Yeah,
and yeah, I'm taking the under for sure.
yeah. I think they'll be probably the bottom two team in the West.
Yeah, I think this is a tanking year for them. They could get a good pick and try to enter in the Ben Simmons contest.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the team that won the whole thing last year, the Golden State Warriors. They're projected at 59.5 wins. Are you taking the under or the over?
Oh, that's a tough one. They won 67, and they probably won't do that again this year. But they kept pretty much the same team. Steve Kerr is out for a little indefinitely. We don't. No one knows when he's coming back, but that'll definitely, I think, be a factor at least for the first month. They have a lot of motivation. Their whole everyone's telling them they got lucky this year with the injuries and they were healthy, but they faced a lot of injured teams in the playoffs. So 59 and a half. That is that. I think. Wow, that's a tough one. I'd probably have to go with. If I go over, I think they're going to win 60, 61. Do I think they're going to win 60 or 61 games? You know what? I think they're. I mean, I said before, I think they're going to win the West this year again. And I think it'll take 60, 61 games to do that. So I'm going to go with, yeah, they're going over on this one too. It'll be very close. It'll be 60, 61 games, in my opinion.
Yeah, 67 wins is just too hard to do again, but like 61, 60, I think that's pretty reachable for, especially for the team that really didn't make that many offseason changes. They kept the same core. They got Jamon back, and this team is motivated. Yeah, you said it. I mean, a lot of people are questioning them again, and they're ready to prove that they're still the best team, and I honestly believe it. So the best team is usually going to win around 60 plus games. So I see them right there winning that many games. I'm taking the over.
Yeah, they kept their same team like almost exactly. They got a Looney they drafted Looney from UCLA, which I think is going to be a good player. And they got I forgot they got Jason Thompson, who I think is going to definitely help the team uh,
Right.
do some things that David Lee didn't can't do, which is play a little bit of defense and rebound the ball pretty well, which he did for Sacramento. Definitely forgot about that, but like I mean, saying 60 or 61 is not out of the question. I mean, that's a 6 game digress, which is you know that's a lot, and for a team that kept their whole core and every single role player. So
Yeah.
I I think I'll go with the over on this one.
You know, it's funny. I'm not much of a gambling man, but this is kind of a no-brainer for me. I wouldn't follow. I might actually put some money on this one.
Oh wow, okay. This is a lock for you.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, I actually think what you said about Jason Thompson was accurate. I think it was an upgrade to some extent. They weren't using David Lee as a scorer. I mean, they wanted a guy off the bench who would rebound for them and play defense. And JT kind of does that. He's not a better player than David Lee, but he's a better fit.
Yeah,
And I mean, everyone else is the same. They still have the MVP, and they're all not even in their prime yet. So
yeah.
yeah, I might actually put some money on this.
Okay, nice. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we'll each have a couple locks, I guess. And this is Rob Needs. I'm not 100% on this one, so I'll save it for another team.
What about Houston? They're at 56.5.
56.5. Let's see. They won 56 games last year, so a half game upgrade. Uh, they got Ty Lawson. That was a huge deal. Um, I actually would probably go over. I mean, they're only going to win one more game more than last year. And Harden was the main guy on that team all year. Dwight was injured for a lot of it. Um, Beverly. I think Beverly was injured last year too during the season, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, and then he got injured near the end of the season, and they didn't have him for the playoffs.
Right. And I think Clint Capella is going to be an underrated player. Will play well for them. Yeah, I actually definitely think they'll go they'll go over that. I think they'll get 50. They're actually one of my favorite teams in the West. I think they're going to be a top four team, easily a top four team in the West. I think they're better than the Clippers right now, but I don't know. I don't think. I think the. I actually think they're better than the Thunder too. Can't really say about the Spurs yet, but I think they and to get the number 2 or 3 seed, I think you have to get around 57 wins, 58. So I'm going to go with over as well.
This is a tough one for me. But before I say what my decision is, did you say that you think you thought they were better than the Clippers and OKC?
Yep. I think they will be. I think there's a new coach in OKC. They're gonna have a tough time figuring that out. And I don't think I like any of their role players really. I mean, Cantor, Waiters, Robertson, his
Right.
team, Kyle Singler, and then the Clippers. They just got too much going on. They have probably the best depth in the league. But anyway, I definitely think the Rockets are. It just that's just my gut feeling. It's just a gut
Right.
feeling.
No, no, no. I mean, I don't blame you because I mean, if you look at the Rockets roster, they're stacked, and I loved their draft. I thought they had one of the best drafts this year with Montrezl Harrell, um, Sam Sam Decker,
Yeah.
and I mean, they got Marcus Thornton as a sharpshooter who's underrated for on a minimum contract. Even Ty Lawson, he got a non-guaranteed contract, and he didn't. They canceled his contract for next year. So
Uh-huh.
that deal. I mean, the only problem I have with the Ty Lawson move, and it's worth the risk, is that defensively their backcourt won't be that good with Harden and Ty Lawson. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ty Lawson goes into a bench role later down in the season because Harden is a and Patrick Beverly kind of complement each other well. Harden's pretty much the ball handler, and when you have Lawson there, he's going to take the ball out of Harden's hands, which is one of the reasons I don't think Harden will have the same season as he did last year. But yeah, I mean, I do think that there will. This is a team that's a contender, and it's pretty close for me. I think they're going to be around 57, 56 wins, but I'll take the slight over. But this is one that I don't feel confident about.
Yeah, that's right. They're always an injured team too, so you never know what's going to go on with that. And yeah, so we'll see. I mean, they got an underrated big three in Lawson, Howard, and Harden. So we'll see how they do. That's one of the big headlines of the year.
Yeah, they're going to be a fun team to watch, and another fun team that is going to be fun to watch are the Clippers, and that Houston Clippers series was one to remember for the ages. And last year I would have told you that Houston was probably the worst team out of the two, but this year I'm not sure. I think Houston might be the better of the two, like you said. The
Mhm.
Clippers are projected at 57 wins. Are you taking it under the over?
57. Wow. Okay, this one's tough, but I'm gonna say so. They won 56 games last year. The over under's at 57. You said.
Yeah.
And let's see who they added. They got Lance to make him dance Stevenson. They added a bunch of crazy players. They got Josh Smith, and they got
Paul Pierce, the truth.
the truth hurts. Uh, what was the line of the playoffs? Did you call bank? Nah, I call game. I think Paul Pierce will be huge for them in the playoffs. I don't think he's going to be a big factor in the regular season. Uh, they got so much depth at the shooting guard. They still have Jamal Crawford, and they have J.J. Redick, and they have Lance Stevenson, and they have Paul Pierce, and they got Wesley Johnson. I don't know how they're going to fit all those players in. One of those guys is going to get real mad. And Cole Aldrich they got to back up DeAndre Jordan, but I mean, I don't know. I think they got a lot of pieces, and it's just I don't know how Doc Rivers is going to organize that team. I think they're going to be a little slow to start the season. I just I don't know. I just never trust the Clippers. They always have they look good on paper, but I don't even think they're a top five. I don't think they're a top four team in the West. So I'm gonna go with the under.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. The West is just so stacked. I took the under two on this one. But it's kind of funny how, Josh Smith and Pablo were partly responsible for the Clippers' exit last year, and they joined the Clippers this year. So I find that kind of ironic. But I mean, I think they have part of the problem last year for the Clippers was their bench, and that shouldn't be an issue looking at their roster this year. I think Luke Richard Marmouche was also a good
Oh
addition defensively. He's going to help them. Pierce is going to help him in during clutch time, even though his defense is below average.
yeah,
I like this team. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to take the under here just because the West is so stacked and they won 56 last year. So yeah, they have a better team than last year, but the West is, you know, just
right.
that much better this year.
I'll say this. I think they're gonna be a top one or two entertaining team to watch. This team will be fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think it's kind of crazy. I mean, where would you rank this team if they were in the East? Like, what would you rank them as a number one seed possibly with Kyrie Irving down?
Yeah, I'd actually think so. I think so. They got
That's
some depth that they can win a lot of games in the regular season, but in the East at least.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think that's just shows how crazy and good the West is, and you know, we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna take the under here. So let's go on to the Memphis Grizzlies. They're at 51.
Are we missing a team?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the Lakers.
That's okay. No, that's perfectly good
It's
mistake.
probably my deep hatred for the Lakers that as a Kings fan that made me do that, but I did not mean to do that. I'm sorry, Laker fans. At 28 wins, are you taking the under or the over?
Okay, so they won 21 last year. 28 seems pretty dang high just looking off that. All they Kobe's healthy now. They added Roy Hibbert. They got they got let's see. They got they draft Randall's back this year, so as well as they drafted D'Angelo Russell. I think they're way too young. Uh, I think they're actually going to be a borderline. I think they're going to be. How should I say this? They're going to be in contention for the number one pick in the NBA draft.
Wow, I don't think a lot of Laker fans would like that.
I'm sorry, I had to say. I think it's not going to be a fun ride this year.
I'll say this. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than you are, but I'm going to take the under here. They do have a decent starting five. They don't have much of a bench there, and they're pretty young. Roy Hibbert will help them. Brandon Bass and Lou Williams. Those are good veteran players that you usually see go to kind of a contender, but these were the main acquisitions that the Lakers could get, and it's kind of sad for Laker fans that they have to go through this. But I mean, every team has to go through this. They've just been one of the few lucky teams, maybe the only team that hasn't had to rebuild like they're rebuilding now. Um, but yeah, I'm going to take the under, but I don't think there will be a bottom two team in the West.
Okay.
I think the Nuggets and the Timberwolves are worse.
Oh
And
wow.
so I'm going to say that they have the third worst team in the West. But I also don't think that means they won't keep their pick because it's top three protected. So
Right.
the Laker fans should either hope that they're either a playoff team, which is really unlikely, or that they're the worst team in the West because they need to keep that pick.
You think the Lakers will be better than the Timberwolves?
I do. I do just because the Timberwolves are they're really young. Also, they're going to start Levine. I do think the guidance of veteran players like Garnett and Andre Miller will help them, but the Lakers actually have more NBA ready players now. But the Timberwolves will be the better team in as soon as next year or as the season progresses, maybe. But the Lakers might get more wins.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot. Did you take the under or the over? Oh, you took the under, right?
Under. Definitely. I think this is actually, I'm going to put this as one of my locks. This is one of my guaranteed locks. Lakers, it's not because I'm a biased Kings fan. I definitely think 28 is way too high. 7 game difference from last year just because they got Russell, Randall, and Kobe back.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah. I mean, they got Roy too and Lou Williams. They're around that much, but I'm gonna go the under. I think it's close though. I don't know if it's a lock as it is, but I mean, I wouldn't blame you for saying that because Kobe actually might make the team worse to some extent. You know, just him chucking a bunch of shots is not the most efficient way to score in the NBA.
yeah, I definitely think he'll get his teammates mad at least once or twice a game.
Let's see. They're always a good, entertaining team, regardless of how bad they they perform on the court. But that being said, I'm kind of sick of seeing them on national television. We need to
Oh,
stop this.
did they get 25 games this year again?
Something like that. And they're opening on ESPN on this Wednesday. So
Terrible. That's
yeah,
terrible.
I mean, if you the one good argument you can make for them to be on national television is that it might be Kobe's last year. I'll if you say that, I'll be like, okay,
It's a
that's
good argument. I
it's a good.
respect that.
All
Okay.
right, let's move on to the Grizzlies. They're at 51.
Okay. 51. They won 55 last year. Wow, 51. That's a tough one. That seems like a push. I
Yeah,
think they should get 51 there. But if I had to go on the over or under, let's see who did they. So they didn't do anything. The only thing they did was get. Okay, so they got Brandon Wright and they got Matt Barnes.
yeah. Those are their two big guys that they got, and
Definitely.
Joel Martin they drafted in the first round from LSU.
Oh yeah, they still got their core. They still got Vince Carter. Man, I want to say push. I want to say push, but if I had to go over under, I think the West is so stacked. I got to go under. I think there's so many good teams in the West that 51 seems pretty high for a team that I predict to be the the sixth best team in the West. I think it's just I don't think they get what. What was? Let me just quickly. I'm gonna look at what was the sixth best record in the West last
The
year.
sixth best was tied with the fifth, and it was San Antonio. So they both had 55. The seventh was at 50 wins with the Mavericks last year.
Wow. So 55 wins was still a sixth seed.
Yeah,
Oh my god!
but wait, I have to clarify one thing because the NBA changed the rules on the division.
Right.
Um, if those rules were applied to last year, Portland would have been the sixth seed at with 51 wins. So
Oh,
actually, in reality, it was if 51.
okay, 51 wins. Wow. So that just took away what I was thinking. I'm gonna have to say under. I just think the West is too stacked, and I just at some point these guys are gonna digress. I mean, their window was last year. They got unlucky with Conley being injured in the playoffs. They actually had a chance to beat. I think they had the best chance to beat the Warriors out of all the teams that they played in the playoffs. They got 2 games on them. If Conley wasn't injured, that game one, which the Warriors won by 20 points, I think that they could have beaten them there. It would have been a whole new series. So I don't know. They're still a good team. I don't know if this one I'm having way too much trouble on. I'm just gonna go push.
Yeah, go push. Okay, I don't blame you. I'm a Grizzlies believer. I think they're a pretender. Like, I don't think they could actually win the championship,
Right.
but I think they're still a good regular season team. And I mean, they have a top five center or top two center with the top five or six point guard, and there's Zebo, and I think Brandon Wright is actually a better fit than some of the big men they've had in the past. He's
Mhm.
kind of more athletic, and I like Brandon Wright, and I also think that even though Matt Barnes isn't a great 3-point shooter, he's an average one that he could, still spread the floor with for them, and I think it would be beneficial for Jeff Green to come off the bench and have Matt Barnes start at the three, because when Jeff Green was in this, he wasn't that great a shooter, so spacing was a little bit off. So I think their improvements were marginal. It wasn't enough to be considered like to make them a contender,
Right.
but I think they're going to be around where they were last year. And I do agree with you about being like the fifth or sixth best team in the West. I just see them winning games.
I just don't get how they didn't. The one big thing they needed was a shooter, and they
Yeah.
still don't have one. Like it's been like 3 years now. Get someone that can make a 3-pointer, and just get him, and maybe that way you guys can actually maybe contend.
So they actually thought that Vince Carter would have been that guy, and because the year before he was with the Mavericks and he was shooting like lights out from 3-point land, and then he comes to Memphis and then he starts struggling and whatnot. So maybe he could pick it up
I
and do
guess
what he did with Dallas. I don't
yeah.
know.
I guess they believe that person's going to be Matt Barnes. So we'll see.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think he's that great of a 3-point shooter, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I'll say this. I'm looking forward to a LA Clippers Memphis Grizzlies match. That's for sure.
oh man. The I
That
mean
is, or sorry, New York Knicks versus Memphis Grizzlies. I'm looking forward to a Fisher versus Barnes fight on the court.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. Oh man, I hope there's some trash talking going on in that game. That's a game to watch. Actually, I didn't think about that until you said
Yeah.
it. That's pretty funny. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next Western Conference team then. The Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're projected kind of where the Lakers were at 28.5 wins. Are you taking the under or the over?
Um, let's see. First of all, it's very sad to hear about Flip Saunders. I actually thought I was reading an article on him a couple days before he passed away, and I mean they said like the cancer was very curable. He just need to take some time off. I mean he was there during the summer helping the training players and everything, so it's pretty sudden. Um, but looking at their team, they still have Pekovic. They got the number one pick in the draft, Karl Anthony Towns. Wiggins is going to be a year better, who I think is going to be a superstar in the league. Zach LaVine's going to be starting to start. He's going to be. I thought he was a great component last year for the Timberwolves. He had a lot of good games actually. Ricky Rubio's healthy. You know, I actually think I'm gonna go the slight over on this one, and I'll say they get 29 or 30 wins. I think they got to get Garnett and Prince. I feel like a trade might be coming this year with Pekovic, but I don't think it's going to be too big of a difference just because they got Karl Anthony Towns right there as well. So I think 29-30 is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention they still got Dang, Gorgie Dang, if I'm even pronouncing his name right,
Yeah, Georgie, dang.
and
Uh,
Martin.
yeah, Kmart off the bench. They named Zach LaVine the starter for the team. But yeah, just rest in peace to Flip Saunders. It was just so unexpected, and he was a good coach, and a lot of players respected him. And that picture with KG just like sitting down on the floor where at his parking spot was pretty touching to see. Um, but all that being said, as a team, I love the youth. I love the rebuilding process. I think they did an excellent job rebuilding and getting young guys and a little bit touch of veteran players that could lead them. Um, but I'm going to take the under here. I'm going to disagree with you again a little
Okay,
bit.
agreement.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see Pekovic getting traded. Also, I think they want to trade him, but I don't know how many teams wanted a center who can't rim protect and who gets injured as much as he does. But um, I mean, he's still a good player, so maybe who knows? Maybe some team would be willing to take a gamble on him. We were saying the same thing about Enes Kanter last year, and OKC made a trade for him, so who knows? I'm a big Carl Anthony Towns fan and a Wiggins fan, and I like Levine, Tyus Jones. This team is just filled with youth, but that's the very reason why I'm going to say they don't have enough experience and enough experience to win more than 25 games. To be honest,
Right. Good
yeah,
point. I see. I see you.
yeah. I mean, who knows? Let's see what happens. They're still an exciting team to watch, but
Yeah.
um, I'm gonna catch a few games on League Pass this year, but I don't know if they're gonna win that many games.
You don't trust year two Andrew Wiggins to take him to 29 or 30.
I actually think Wiggins is gonna take a good step forward. I could see him averaging like 23 points per game,
Oh,
and I was targeting him in fantasy, but someone grabbed him before I did. Uh,
dang.
but yeah, I mean, I think Wiggins is a special talent, and I think so is Towns. But they're just too young right now. I think in a year or two, I think in 2 years we're going to be talking about them contending for the eighth spot in the West.
Definitely.
Yeah, someone who was contending last year and got the eighth seed last year was the New Orleans Pelicans, and that's mostly because of Anthony Davis. But they're projected at 46.5 wins. Are you taking the under or the over?
So 45 last year. They're saying they can win 2 games. Now, this is what year's Anthony Davis? This is going to be fourth year or third?
This is his fourth year,
He's drafted in 12, right? I think, yeah.
I think.
So this this is the year I think he's going to make a huge improvement. Now, 46 and a half is it's again one of those very close ones. Do I think they're going to have a 2 game uh, increment? Let's see who they added. Who do they add this year?
Well, they re-signed Omer Ashik, which surprised a lot of people. Drew Holiday is going to be healthy. They signed Nate Robinson because of all the injuries they have. Tyreek Evans is going to be out for somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks. So this team is filled with the injuries. Is for sure. Alonzo G is someone that is going to take some minutes at small forward for them. They got Kendrick Perkins. Uh,
How
I
many
don't
steps
know.
is he going to take this year in a game?
Wait, say that again.
How many steps is he going to take in this year's
Oh
in the game this year?
God, man. Who knows? The NBA needs to focus on him traveling every time he gets off the board.
Yeah, they got to figure that rule out. But yeah, Tyreek. I mean, they were injured last year as well, and they still won 45. So it's tough to say with these injuries. They got the new coach, Alvin Gentry. They got a great defensive assistant coach with him. Uh, this one's another tough one. I'm going to have to go with 46 and a half. I'm either thinking 46 or 47 because it's that close. I got to go with the over. I think they're going to get 47 right on the dot. It's so
Man,
close. It's so
I,
close.
this is the toughest. This might be the toughest one in the West for me, just
Right.
because of all the injuries. Like, if Evans wasn't hurt, I would have probably said the over.
Yeah.
Um, but he's hurt, and Drew Holiday is on a minutes restriction for about 15 minutes per game.
Hmm.
But Anthony Davis is just so good. Like he he has that. I mean, if the NBA didn't care too much about where you were in the standings, and when they were making the MVP decision, he would win MVP this year. And yeah, and so I'm gonna take the under just slightly. I think they're gonna win about 45, 46 games,
Yeah.
but and I think they're gonna be the eighth seed again.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I
I
see
mean
that.
it's probably more risky considering that like Anthony Davis is only 22 and he's still gonna get better, and he's what made carry that team to the eighth seed last year, anyways. But I'm gonna take the under here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that. They got a healthy Eric Gordon this year, so we'll see how he does. This is really his big year to show that he can still play.
Yeah, and Eric Gordon, before he signed the contract with the Pelicans, or before the Pelicans matched, he was going to sign with Phoenix, and he has a former Phoenix coach now coaching him, and I think Alvin Gentry will be a better fit for this team, and I think he will make this offense flow a lot better. So
Yeah.
I think that's a
I,
positive too.
I really this is one of these other bets where I'm going over because of the coach. I think Alvin Gentry is that good.
Yeah, no, he's underrated for sure, and I think the Golden State staff is going to miss him this
Yeah.
year.
Is this our second disagreement so far?
It might be a third. We didn't agree on Memphis and
Oh yeah, and the
the
last one.
T- what about the T-Wolves? I said the under.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
What's
But I
next?
think OKC is next, and they're at 57.
I'm gonna go with the immediate under on this one. I think I gotta see Kevin Durant play like 10 games first to see if his leg is all right. Uh, I just gotta. I don't know. This is a new coach. I still don't understand. This is another team like the Grizzlies. Why can't they? This is their window. Get a good player that can make a 3-pointer and play defense. They got Anthony Morrow, but he's not a good defensive player. Kyle Singler, not a great defensive player. Uh, and their big man Enos Kanter can't play defense to save his life. And I don't know what his defensive efficiency rating or his plus or minus was last year, but that was just Russell Westbrook carrying the team that last
Yeah.
year.
Mhm.
I just think 57 is too high for the Thunder. I think they're don't get me wrong. I think they'll do definitely well. I think Kevin Durant has something to prove. He's my underrated MVP candidate of the year, but I think they'll get around 55, 56, and I
So
think it's gonna be my one of my locks for the West.
wow, wow. Where do you rank them in the West? Like the second or third seed?
Okay, this is gonna shock some people, but I'm gonna put them at 4.
Interesting.
I think the Spurs, the Rockets, and the Warriors are ahead of them. Uh, I think, yeah, I think that's. We'll see. It's been a year since we saw them play, like, or more than a year when we saw them play at their healthiest. So I don't know.
Yeah,
And a new coach, and I don't know. It's gonna be weird, and I still think they need one extra big time player like that last summer they should have gotten Pau Gasol. I really thought if they got him, they would be winning championships for a while, but I don't see it this year.
yeah. I mean, they were trying to get Gasol, but I don't think they had enough money or whatnot, and
This year.
decided to give that money to Enes Kanter. Apparently,
Seriously.
yeah. I mean, both guys are pretty bad defensively, anyways, and Kanter's the younger guy, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. I can't defend Kanter at this point. So. So I'm gonna disagree with you though, man. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna take the over here. I mean, OKC has the second best player, or they have. Let me say it. Let me put it this way: they have two top six players in Durant and Westbrook, and
Yeah.
for me, that's and when those two guys are healthy, and assuming they're healthy, um, they always win over like around 60 games. So I'm gonna take the over on this one, and this to me is my lock. Um,
Oh,
so let's see what happens. I mean, I like Cameron Payne too as a draft pick. I think he fell to them pretty in the end at the end of the lottery picks. So I'd like that. I'm not a big fan of Cantor, but if you're gonna play Cantor, if you believe in Cantor, the one big man that you can pair aside next to him is a shot blocking big four, and that's Serge Ibaka. So maybe Serge can kind of hide him on defense a little bit. Um, and I can't defend Dion Waiters. I don't know what I'm not going to defend him. So I think this team is shallow at the shooting guard position, and I think Anthony Moore could end up starting, but they might need to make a trade or a signing at the two guard before the playoffs come around.
no, definitely. I just yeah, we'll see. It's just they need one more piece. They just need one more piece, and it's gonna be interesting. Do you put Kevin Durant as your MVP or
Um, I mean, I would have said Anthony Davis if it wasn't for the record stuff. Dude, I think I'm gonna stick with Steph. I think a lot of people are still the reason I'm gonna stick with Steph is because I still think Golden State has the best record in the league, and if you have the best record in the league, you have a really good shot at MVP. So I'm gonna still say Steph, which is not like a popular vote. I'm kind of surprised at that, but Durant is definitely in the conversation. He will be in the conversation, and he would probably be second in my votings.
just a quick thing before we move on? The one thing I want to say that I'm saying under for the Thunders because they just don't have depth. They lack depth, and a lot of these other teams that I mentioned, Houston, San Antonio, Golden State, and the Clippers especially, they all have a lot of depth, which I don't think they can. The Thunder will can compete with.
That's a good point, and that kind of always kind of hurts them in the playoffs at times. But at the same time, I don't know if they ever had the depth, um, and they've always made it pretty far. They've always been like a top, the top three or four guys kind of carry them. I guess the time they had the most depth was when Harden won Sixth Man of the Year. But after that, I mean. I think there was a year after that where they won about 60 something games, and you
Yeah.
know it was without much depth. So I don't know if they're gonna win the champ. They're as good as anyone, but I'm gonna still pick I'm gonna still pick the Warriors to have the better record and the better team if, in the best of seven.
Okay. Fair enough.
Let's go on to the Phoenix Suns, and they're at 37. You taking the under or the over?
I almost want to just take the under just because the Morris twins are not going to be together. I think it's a big factor. No,
That's
but
a huge factor. That's the main reason.
yes, you know, who they lost to one of the Morris twins. I didn't like the trade they made with Brandon Knight. Actually, no, I'll say, no, sorry, I didn't like it for the Bucks, but I definitely actually like this trade for the Suns, Brandon Knight. And do they have the Lakers pick? Is this the team that has the Lakers pick?
Oh no, Philly has it. Philly
No.
has the Lakers pick still. They
Who was
traded.
that trade? Actually, it was Mike Carter Williams to the Bucks. Bucks traded
Uh,
Knight to the
yeah,
Suns.
it was Michael Carter Williams to the Bucks from Philly, and then Phoenix, who had the pick, the Lakers pick, sent that pick to Philly, and then the Bucks sent Brandon Knight to the Suns.
Yikes. All right. Yeah. So I don't like that trade actually, And they got Devin Booker, the rookie from Kentucky. I actually think he's going to be a solid shooter. I like him a lot. Uh, I actually 30. They won 39 last year. They got Tyson Chandler, who I like a lot. I think that'll be good for them. They still don't have a great small forward. Starting for them is PJ Tucker. You know, Mini Mo Bledsoe, I think is going to be still good. I actually think he might be traded this season. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with the under. I just think there's too many good teams again in the West. 37. They're gonna. I think they'll digress more than or more than 3 games. So I put them at 35, 36. I just don't see any potential in this team at all. And Tyson Chandler's always injury prone. So and so is Brandon Knight, and so is Eric Bledsoe. So I think injuries might catch up to them this year. Hopefully not, but they're just an injury prone team.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't get in, assuming everyone's healthy, I'm taking the over because they won 39 last year, and that was without Tyson, and that was with the injured Brandon Knight, which is partly why that trade doesn't look so good for Phoenix at the moment. But Brandon Knight's a good shooter. He's a good three-point shooter, and so is Devin Booker. So this team is filled with shooters. You have Teletovic and coming to shoot also. Um, so I like this team. I think Alex Len could is gonna make a small step forward also, and if Markieff Morris um, could kind of improve his shot selection, I think this team could actually make the playoffs. I think Markieff is a good fit for Tyson and vice versa, and I think if Eric Bledsoe can stay healthy, this team is always good for 40 wins or so. And they were close. They had 39 last year, and and they still have an underrated coach in Jeff Hornacek. I'm gonna take the over.
Okay. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think we've disagreed a lot, like five
Yeah,
times or something.
we started out strong, but we're going our separate ways now.
I think we're gonna agree on the next one. How about Portland at 28?
I'm just gonna go under on this one. I think they're gonna get not a lot of. Wait, they lost like 4 of their starters. You can't really even compare their wins from last year.
Yeah.
I'm basically saying the Timberwolves are better, and I think I'm actually saying the Denver Nuggets are going to be better. So at that, looking at um, looking at that, I think I'm going to go under on this one. And I think they win around 26, 27 games.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here for sure. This team could probably be the worst team in the West. Yeah, like you said, they lost most of their starters. They got Alfred Camino, who was the first signing about 8 million per year, which surprised a lot of people. They drafted Cliff Alexander in the second round from Kansas, who I think is a good flyer. This team is pretty much Damian Lillard and everyone else.
Yeah.
Like Noah Vonleh is a good young guy that we haven't really seen what he could do because of injuries last year. And CJ McCollum also has had a lot of injuries in his career, and this could be the year he breaks out. Gerald Henderson is going to be probably starting for them at the two, is my guess, with Al Farouk, Aminu, Noah Vonleh, and Plumlee. But that's not a team that could. I'll be surprised if they win more than 25 games, to be honest. So I'm taking the under. This is a lock for me here.
Yeah, I would recommend all you guys in fantasy basketball to draft Damian Lillard. I think that guy's just going to shoot every shot every time he gets the ball.
Yeah, and I wouldn't blame him because his teammates don't look so good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about we move on to the Kings here, 35.5. Vegas has been moving this line higher and higher because people have been saying the over for the Kings. What do you say?
I'm just mad I didn't bet when it was at 30.5. I'm just kicking myself for that.
Yeah, same.
35.5 now looks extremely high. But I'm trying not to be biased, but I really think they're going to get 36 or 37 wins this year. That was my line before I see it before October came, and they threw out Vegas threw out these lines. So I got to go over. But man, those people that got 30.5 over on the 30.5, they're going to be rich.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the Kings are as an organization, they kind of are a mess at times. I mean, having three coaches in 1 year isn't a great thing, but they might have found something. I mean, George Karl is a safe coach. They got a good coach. They got a future Hall of Famer there. They have Cousins. They have Rondo and Collison off the bench. The bench was a big issue last year, and that's something that I feel like Vlade Divac did a good job in fixing. So I don't think this team is a playoff team. I think they're going to be behind Phoenix, behind the Jazz. I think, and maybe the Mavericks. That one I'm not so sure, but I'm taking the over. I just don't think this team makes the playoffs.
Okay. Wow, you're putting them behind all those teams?
I don't know about the Mavericks. I think the Kings are better than the Mavericks, possibly. Like it wouldn't surprise me either way. But give me Utah and Phoenix over Sacramento.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm just. We'll see.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe it's just my bias for the Kings.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I'm a Kings fan, and I've been a Kings fan for a long, long time. So it's gonna be, nonetheless, like as a Kings fan, don't you feel like kind of excited for this year? Like even though
Yeah.
we might not make the playoffs.
I'm really excited. It's going to be definitely an entertaining team. We got so many personalities: Rondo, Cousins, Yay, George Karl. But I'm actually really really looking forward to Willie Cauley Stein. That guy is going to be so fun to watch. Never seen a player like him before, which is I think going to be awesome. This guy can keep up with 1 through 5. He is an immense shot blocker. That's one of the big things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out about Cauley Stein is that he has the ability to switch on any player on the floor. And that's what made Draymond Green so special last year when any team would be in the pick and roll, like, and Golden State would be willing to switch. And I think that's something that Sacramento could do after the pick and roll. A team runs the pick and roll with Sacramento, because they could just switch Cauley Stein on the guard, and Cauley Stein is going to be able to guard that guy for 10 to 15 seconds. And I think eventually down the line we're going to be talking about Trill Cauley Stein as Defensive Player of the Year.
I hope so.
Yeah. So let's move on to the San Antonio Spurs, who got the best player in free agency, LaMarcus Aldridge, and then they also got David West. They're at 57.
Okay, so they won 55 last year. Uh, Man, it's always tough because he's Greg Popovich rests his team so much, and uh, this one is so close too. I just because I want to actually say 56, 57, but I think they're gonna. I'm just gonna base it on they'll have a little bit of trouble in the first month or two to figure things out. Lamarcus, I hate saying this. I love the Spurs. Go Spurs, go! But I'm gonna go the under. I think
Oh,
I don't know.
wow.
It's so close, but 57 is a lot for Lamarcus there, and he's gonna be such a big piece to try to fit the offense around him. So I'm just basing it on that.
So I'm gonna take the over, and I just see LaMarcus, helping them. The only question I have for this team, to me, the biggest question actually is just that is Tony Parker. Like, can he be the same player he was 2 years ago when they were in the finals? Is he, or has that Tony Parker disappeared? And because if you don't have that inside penetration, you can't get open shots or open looks for guys like LaMarcus or guys in the corner looking for that corner three, and Danny Green. So to me, Tony Parker is going to be vital. That being said, I think Tony Parker's health is going to be more of a uh, problem or issue come playoff team. But this Spurs team, they always find a way to win a lot of games in the regular season. No matter how many times Popovich rests his guys, this
Yeah.
team always wins a lot of games. I'm going to go with the over here. But I don't think they win more games than Golden State. And I think they're going to be neck and neck with OKC.
Okay. Yeah, I'm putting him at my 3 seed for the year. And we'll see how they do. I just want to say, like you said, when they get to the playoffs, when they try to beat Golden State in one of the rounds, wherever it is, or OKC or whoever, it's all going to depend on Tony Parker. Like you said, that this guy's going to be the biggest X factor, his health, and because he's been struggling with that last year or two, so mightily. And I just think that it's going to be up to him, really.
Yeah, and I think if I think my pick when I saw the LaMarcus signing happen was for the Spurs to win it all, and I still believe they can do that. Granted, Tony Parker's health. Like to me, if Tony Parker is healthy, they're the best team.
Yeah.
But if it's the same Tony Parker that played that we saw in your basketball this summer and the same one that we saw last year in the playoffs, the one that got outperformed by Patty Mills, then this Spurs team is not gonna beat OKC. I mean, like the OKC and the Warriors of the world.
Yeah, there's too many good point guards that Tony Parker has to face, and he has to be completely healthy and, at least somewhat of the 28, 29-year-old self. And he has to guard Chris Paul, Curry, Conley, and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to the last Western Conference team, the Utah Jazz. They were favorites to make the eighth seed by a lot of people, and after the hot winning streak they got after making the Ennis Cantor trade and starting Rudy Gobert, and they're projected at 42.5 wins.
All right, so this is going to be. They won 38 last year. They look good the second half of the season. Probably one of the best defensive teams in the league. The top, I think they're number one, actually, number one or three in that second half of the season when they traded Cantor, because Rudy Gobert is beast mode. But I have to say that this is going to be one of my guaranteed locks for the West. It's going to be under. I'm thinking under
What?
7 games is just way too much. It's too young of a team. Their whole offense is going to be based on Gordon Hayward again. I know they got Alec Burks healthy, but I don't trust Trey Burke, and their other Dante Exum was injured for the year, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's out for the year.
Yeah, so 7 games, that's way too much. I know they played exceptionally well in the second half, but I think it's just still a young team. I think they'll be right there at the ninth spot, ninth or 10th spot, but I think they get 40 games out there. So, yeah, guaranteed under.
Whoa, 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 whoa. We disagree again. I'm taking the over. I say this team's a playoff team, and they're gonna make the seventh or eighth seed. They're gonna be pretty close with the Pelicans. I do have a concern with Trey Burke, and it's not because of his offense, although that's pretty atrocious at times too. It's mostly because of his defense, and Exum's offense wasn't great either. But since he tried hard on defense and he had that long wingspan and good height, he was able to play defense really well. And Rodney Hood and Gordon Hayward were able to carry the offense with Derek Favors. I think this team is better than last year, with exception at the point guard position. Um, I think this team just has more experience and they're confident, and they have a good coach. So I'm gonna, and I also like the draft pick in Trey Lyles. I have a lot of faith in this organization and this team to make it far this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's I don't know. I don't see it. I think they're still one more piece away from making the playoffs, but we'll see.
we'll
But
see. But this is my guarantee that they will go
oh
over.
my God, another guaranteed but disagreement on both ends. Okay,
Yeah,
that's okay. We'll see what happens. You
yeah.
got any more thoughts for the rest for the West?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, we're talking about the East in our next podcast. So stay tuned for that.
All right. Can't wait.
All right. See you in the next one.